Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Chakra Way Meditation Podcast, a chakra chat, another beautiful conversation with another amazing soul. And I'm constantly amazed and so grateful at the number of incredible people that there are out here that I can talk to. It just fills me with joy every time I meet a new beautiful soul. So today, I'm talking to Debbie Dhyan, who is a Kundalini yoga teacher, but also a mindset transformation guide. I think we're going to talk a lot about spiritual mastery, about all sorts of beautiful things today. So, welcome, Debbie. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. I am so honored to be here. And just like you said, I am just amazed at how many cool people there are out there in the world. So I am excited to dive in.
It's a joy. It really is. And it's a constant reminder to me that, when things seem a bit bad and I just meet somebody like you, and I'm like, yeah, it's going to be okay. There's enough people out there.
Yeah,
There's enough people
exactly.
doing the work. And so tell me a little bit about yourself and how you came to, I mean, first of all, Kundalini yoga is one of those things that has always fascinated me. As an Iyengar trained teacher, we could not
Oh,
be
nice.
further apart
Right. We
in our
are.
modalities. Um, but I have a very soft place in my heart for Kundalini. And one of these days I will actually kind of really go there and learn some of the basics because I don't know many. I know a few things, but not much.
It's okay.
So was that your kind of gateway into the spiritual world?
Yeah, really. So very long ago, I was in this mindset where I basically thought nothing was going to change for me. I was feeling really low about myself and I was just settling for anything that came into my life. I just accepted it because I always thought this is what's going to be for my life. It wasn't until I actually had physical pain in my back. I had really, really bad backache. And I decided, okay, I'm going to step into a yoga studio. I know that yoga is good for backaches and just body aches in general. This should help me.
Mm.
And I researched, found a little small yoga studio that did not seem very intimidating. And I fell in love with it. I went to my first yoga class. I felt very welcomed. I felt seen. I felt nurtured. And that from that moment on, the little small changes started to happen. And so I come from the vinyasa yoga world, and it was something that was super close to me. And, flash forward a few years after practicing, I was a completely different person. I felt so much more healthier in my body, energetically. I had left toxic people in the past, and that was a huge change. And so that's where my journey started was in the vinyasa world, learning how to take care of myself a little bit better, not just physically, but spiritually, mentally, energetically. And flash forward to now, or to like maybe 6 years ago, I was almost feeling in the same space again, where I was feeling a little low. And I came across Kundalini Yoga through one of my vinyasa teachers.
Mm.
And I felt a spark. I felt another spark that really lit me up. And it felt like my awareness started to really rise in me. And that's where I fell in love with Kundalini Yoga. I saw that it was more of a technology than just asanas and, moving, which is also so beneficial for your body. But I felt like, okay, this is something else that I want to explore. And that took me here.
Lovely. I love that. And I love, the actually your story is very similar to mine in terms of
Oh,
I discovered yoga. It just sort of felt like a right thing. I found a class and that's something that you said there that really sparked and that I felt seen.
yeah.
Yes. That's such a new, and that's an important factor. It really is. Um, but also this melding together of the different schools of yoga, because
Hmm.
as you say, you came from Vinyasa, you moved to Kundalini. I came from Iyengar. I've moved much more towards a more, I don't know what I call it, chakra yoga. you know,
Amazing.
energy-based
Yes.
yoga practice. And yes, you know, I will sometimes get a bit anger and say, straighten your knees. But
Yeah.
uh, but I love the fact that I mean yoga, it came from one place, it was one thing, and
Yeah.
actually the asana practice, I think there was like maybe 15 asanas actually specifically mentioned in the yoga sutras of Patanjali. Everything else was
Hmm.
philosophy and health and
Hmm.
everything else. And us Westerners have gone, right, yoga means standing on your head and tying yourself in knots, and it just really doesn't.
Exactly.
And this is what is really beautiful about when you can meld these together, all of the different types of yoga that there are available to us. So tell me a little bit about um, the technology. That was an interesting word you used there, technology
Yes.
of Kundalini, because I know you have the Kriyas, I know you have a lot of breath work and so on, but tell me, what does that mean for you?
Yeah. So technology is a very interesting word. And I was also, when I started practicing, I was like, why do they keep saying technology? And then I started realizing this truly is a technology because there are certain things. So anything that is going on in your life, there's a kriya for it. Any ailment, anything that's happening in your body energetically, physically, there's a kriya for it. And when you're doing these postures, you're doing the chanting, the energy work, it's connecting to a certain part of your physical body. And so it's really a technology. So, for example, there's a really beautiful meditation called Kirtan Kriya. Kirtan Kriya, there's a mudra and there's a mantra that goes with it. When you're doing the mudra, it's actually helping your mind um, create new neural pathways, and it's helping your mind just be able to get stronger as you're doing it. The vibrations of the chanting of the mantra is really helping you as well in your energetic body, but also helping calming your nervous system. And then what's really cool about this certain Kriya is that there was scientific studies done on it that actually show that it helps with Alzheimer's and helps to decrease any sort of mental fatigue. And so it's a true technology when we're doing these breathing patterns, when we're doing the movements, we're working with our glandular system, we're working with our awareness, so our energy. And it's really helping us on a whole body level, which I thought was so cool because I'm really into mindset transformation and using our brains and healing at a cellular level, where
Mm.
that kept me going. I was like, okay, I want to see what other kriyas there are, what else I can feel in my own personal body, and how I can teach that to other people too.
So the word Kriya, I kind of have an idea what a Kriya is, even if that's the right way to use that word. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
What is a Kriya is essentially the question I'm getting at. But what I understand it to be is like a mantra, so like a chant of some sort. And but is it now you've brought in mudras as well, mudras being like hand positions that you can take with your hands. Um, so is a Kriya all of that breath, hand movement, you know, mudra and chanting? Is it a whole package of things, or is it just the mantra?
So, great question. So, a Kriya in Kundalini Yoga is similar to what an asana is in asana practice is in typical, typical yoga. So, it is a set of movements, practices that make up the whole Kriya. So, the Kriya is that set of practices, and
Mhm.
that could include the breathing exercises, the chanting, the mantras. So there's so many kriyas, and that is like the different practices depending on what you want to tackle that day. So let's say today you woke up kind of feeling, a little low, like you want to feel more love in your heart. You want to open up your heart today. You want to work with your heart chakra. There's a kriya for that. And kriya, you would look it up basically. There's all the Kriyas are out there. You would look it up and it would give you a set of exercises to do for that.
Mhm. I love that. Okay.
Yeah,
See,
it's
this
very
is why
cool.
I love the way the universe works sometimes, and I know that this is going to be something that I'm going to go and magpie because that's what I do. Everything that I'm like, oh, I'm going to go and look up the quiz for all the chakras because,
Yes.
when I'm developing my yoga practice, my yoga teaching around the chakra system and have been for years now, and I kind of intuit it all, but I'm wondering if there's any kind of alignments there. I'd be really
There
interested
is.
find out. I bet you there would be. Yeah.
There totally is. And, I see, coming also from, Vinyasa world, I see the overlap because, like you said, it comes from place, we all come from one place and
Mm.
we all find overlap too. So Kundalini yoga is definitely connected to the chakras, connected to our energy centers.
Yeah.
And I love to also teach Kundalini yoga based on the chakras. So right now on my Instagram, I actually have a series going where I'm doing lives every week based on the chakras. Next week is our throat. So we'll be working on our throat chakra. And in my programs, I have an 8-week program where we go through the chakras as well.
Yeah, and you have to, it's magical work. For me,
It
it's the
is
basis of all transformation, all kind of
completely.
healing has to begin with this energetic body, with the subtle body. I don't know how you do it without it.
Hmm.
So it's kind of the step one for me. And
Exactly.
it's very magical. So this, I'm interested now to, because I feel like our lives are really parallel. So I started off with yoga, moved into the spiritual, like the healing and all of that, expanded into that. And I feel like you do transformational mindset guidance. So you are dealing with clients, you also run retreats. We'll get into that later.
Yes.
But so tell me a little bit about the transformation guidance, this mindset work.
Mhm.
When did that come in? How did that come in for you?
So that came in around the same time as the Kundalini yoga did. I again was feeling so low. All my life I've always battled with anxiety, with depression, and it comes in waves as, any sort of mental illness kind of comes in and out, and I know that I'll always be battling with it. Not battling with it. I know I'll always, be dancing with it. But
Yeah.
now I have, all these tools. We create all these tools. And so it was really for me to be able to move through that challenge, it was really a lot about mindset transformation. It was about getting out of the victim mindset, the scarcity mindset, and being able to see what I truly had around me, the abundance that I had around me, and also being able to take responsibility for my own actions, for my own feelings, and be able to make that big shift so that I could show up as my highest, best self
Yeah.
and be able to share my gifts because I was dimming that light for myself, but blaming everything else around me.
Mm.
And so it took me many years to be able to shift my own mindset. And I started doing work where, I would just do experiments where maybe just I would just try to look at things a bit better. I would find the gratitude. I would do gratitude practices. And it took me a long time to be able to understand how to get to a better mindset, to feel more abundant. But I found the framework for it, basically.
Mm.
And for me, I like to call it the radiant method because it helps you create a more radiant life. And
Mhm.
it's really about being able to find out who you truly are, finding your authentic self, then being able to dig up and excavate basically what are your blockages that you have in your body.
Mhm.
Where are the blockages? So the chakra work.
Mm.
Then being able to create that space. So being able to remove those blockages or maybe just create space for them
Yeah.
and then allowing the abundance to flow in, allowing the prosperity to flow in, because we can only hold so much. And if we're just holding all this like grief or anxieties, depression, anger in our bodies, that's all we're going to be able to hold. We're not
Yeah.
going to be able to hold anything more, and we deserve so much more. And so, through a lot of experimenting, a lot of work, a lot of Kundalini yoga, a lot of breath work, all of that, I was able to do this for myself and then in turn be able to turn it into a program where I can do it for other people at retreats, especially. And then now I was like, okay, I have to do it into a program. And so I created an 8-week program where people can actually turn it into a few months program instead, where they can really go slowly, as slowly as they'd like. They can revisit it whenever they're feeling low again. And so that's that's where this mindset transformation came from. Long story short.
Yeah, no, I mean it sounds absolutely gorgeous, and I'm feeling very much like we've been living parallel lives here across the
Yeah.
other sides of the world for the last few years, by the sounds of it. Because we've, that work of the mind, body, spirit, the mind needs to understand, the body needs to feel it, the spirit needs
Mm,
to create the space for it. We are
mm,
working so much in tandem with this work. And I'm sure you would agree with me that yoga is the best way to communicate with your body, to understand your body, and to also release the stuff that needs to be released without having to go through the trauma of reliving all of
right.
the
Exactly.
anxiety or the depression or the whatever it is, the trauma that you're holding on to, that's stopping you from living that abundance and feeling, being able to be fully authentic. That's definitely one of my big mantras is, abundance and authenticity and
Hmm.
alignment. I'm just like all about that for everybody. Trying to find that space within is exactly where we're at. It's beautiful.
Exactly.
And I've had a look at your retreat, and it looked gorgeous in
Oh, thank you.
Tulum, which is in Mexico, right?
Yes,
So
you
only
got it.
a hop, skip, and a jump from San Francisco, quite a hike from the UK, unfortunately. Um, but it's a magical place. But I noticed that you do psilocybin on
Yeah.
part of the retreat. So tell me how that came into the equation, because that I missed
Yeah,
my offering.
exactly. And thank you for bringing that up because I was supposed to actually bring that up in the mindset transformation because that's where it came up. At
Mm.
that same time where I was feeling really low, I was called to plant medicine. And so I was called to plant medicine to work with it for myself first. And one of the plant medicines was psilocybin. I had worked with it recreationally in the past,
Mm.
and I remember it was such a mindset shift. I was so scared of losing my own control that I was not open to trying these new modalities. And when I did, when I felt in a safe space, I was actually with my husband. I had just met my husband. I was with him, and I was like, okay, I feel safe. I'm gonna try. And it was one of the most beautiful mind expanding nights I've had. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to try microdosing, flash forward. And the microdosing really helps to basically guide you as you're healing. It helps to show you the goodness. It helps to show you your blocks. It helps to also show you, where you have these challenges in your life. So it helps to really create those new neural pathways in your brain, which again, going back to the cool technology of it all, it's something that is helping you heal at a cellular level again. And so that's where it came about. And I started working with it myself because I always work on everything that I teach. I've gone through it tenfold, which
Yeah.
I'm sure you have too.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. And so I started working it with myself, and then I started holding tea ceremonies for others. So the tea ceremonies are really beautiful. They're microdosing tea ceremonies, and I do a really beautiful blend of honey, cacao, and the microdose of the psilocybin. When I started doing these tea ceremonies, everybody was in love with them. They still are, and it really helps people to relax more into their body and to be able to open up more so they can feel. And that really is the goal, is so that you can actually feel and feel the goodness around you, because the microdose will leave you feeling a bit more euphoric and vibrant throughout your day. And alongside that mindset transformation work, it's an ally. So the medicine really helps you to open up your mind more so that you can allow the work to maybe penetrate a bit further deeper into your bodies. And so that's where it came about.
Such lovely work. It's it's a really interesting one when you get into plant medicine because some countries it's just like perfectly legal, it's normal. Like
Yeah.
UK, psilocybin mushrooms, magic mushrooms, they grow all over the place, but you're not supposed to
Mhm.
be, it's illegal to actually own them or pick them or whatever. I don't know if it's illegal to
Mhm.
it's classed as a class A drug, and so it's
Right.
not something that you can do openly. Of course,
Yeah.
millions of people do, but that's by the by. The fact is that I, being a goody two shoes, I have never done it, and I would really love to. If I'm honest, I would really love to
Yeah.
try that because I trust Mother Earth implicitly. I trust her. She holds my life. She gave me life. She will,
Mhm.
these beautiful medicines that are there to help us connect deeper. Like, why are we not? And it's just, yeah, let's not get into the politics of it. It's a conspiracy
Yeah.
to keep us quiet, keep us shut
I
down.
know.
But
Exactly.
so it's a real gift to be able to do that, and maybe that is worth flying across the Atlantic to Mexico for.
Yes, please do.
Love that.
Yes.
But I do think that there is real valid, there's a lot of valid research going on, like scientific research that is proving that this
Truly.
is a cure, like not, and I'm not over exaggerating, like a cure for depression, a cure
Mhm.
for anxiety, because the
Yes.
rewiring of the neural pathways is very, very real.
Mhm.
And what a gift to be able to give that to your clients when they come to Mexico.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, it is so wonderful.
yeah.
And people just fall. So I serve it right before we practice Kundalini yoga, and their practice becomes deeper, more intentional. They're more grounded, and it's a really cool experience. And it's so beautiful to witness too as a practitioner. I'm like, oh, yes, they're doing the work and it's working.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
exactly. So you've got your Radiant method, which is a sort of online course, and what and you obviously you teach in San Francisco and on a weekly day, you're out there every day doing your do. I mean, this is and you run the retreats. This is very, we could be just twins in our lives. Well, we're not.
Oh, I love it.
Well, it's me
It's
too,
so cool.
I'm teaching, running the courses, and the retreats as well. I've got a lovely retreat
Oh, amazing.
coming up in Morocco in November.
Oh, oh my gosh. Well,
Yeah.
then come to Tulum and then I'll just hop over to Morocco afterwards.
Oh my God. I wish that could be.
I know, me
Yeah,
too.
so amazing.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah. There's running a retreat. So have you done many retreats before? This is,
I have.
yeah.
Yeah. And this is all like a big lesson for me too. I'm sure as you know, running retreats is not it's not super easy sometimes. You know, you're doing this all on your own, you're holding a lot of space, and
Mm.
then there's a lot of logistic stuff, which, as wellness practitioners, we want to be in the creative side, but there's also the business side of everything too. And when it comes to retreats, it can get intense. I was holding around 3 to 4 retreats a year,
Mhm.
and I noticed last year I'm getting really burnt out. I need to stop. I need to really refocus on what people really want. We need to refocus on what I want. Am I doing this because it's coming from a place of scarcity? Like, am I doing it because I think I'm never going to be able to do it again. I've got to do it now. Or am I doing it from a really intentional place where I really want to hold that space for others? And so I reshifted. So this year I'm holding one retreat, which is the Tulum retreat. And it feels a lot more expansive, a lot more spacious. But I've held retreats in Joshua Tree in Mexico, Tulum, and Todos Santos, Mexico. And I've also held retreats here in Northern California in beautiful, like woodsy, foresty areas that are just very magical. And it would be based on different medicines. So before I used to work with a facilitator who we would work with amphibian medicine, so combo and bufo alvarius, which are very big psychedelics.
Oh.
And I would teach Kundalini yoga there. And so lots of deep, deep work there. And then I moved on to just holding more of my own, which are my beautiful Joshua Tree retreats, where we do deeper work with psilocybin, and then my international retreats. So yeah, those are the
Mm.
ones that I do, and I'm happy with them. I love them, and I see so much transformation. It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's as you say, it is a lot of work and there's a lot of intention and a lot of space holding. And I think, you're adding in a whole extra layer of the plant healing, plant medicine stuff, which I don't
Mhm.
do. I'm just like, we're doing yoga morning and evening, what you do in between
All
lunch,
good.
or going to Marrakesh, do whatever you want. Like, I set intention and I hold intent, and so on. But yeah, nothing quite at that. So that is intense. I get that. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's a beautiful thing to offer out to the world, and I feel like there's such a need for it, and such a desire for people to reconnect with themselves. I think that's the thing that is missing, is that people have lost that connection with who they are, and it's like
exactly.
it's sort of sounds crazy when you say it out loud, but it is also scarily true, and yeah, people
Hmm.
who they are, and that's
Yeah.
when people come to me, and the same, I'm sure with you, like, I don't know what my purpose is, or I don't
Hmm.
feel satisfied, or I feel like I'm stuck, or I'm living somebody else's
Hmm.
life, or, I don't know what's next. Like, there's people who can't, and finding that reconnection within is what this work really is so good at doing. And yeah, you're taking it
Yes.
to the next level. It's gorgeous to have.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I feel exactly the same way you just said. It's really, and I see that. I see that in people too. They come and they're scattered. They have a lot of fear. They don't know what's next for them. But then when they step into that container, and I'm sure you've seen it too, and they come out more vibrant, they come out like, okay, I have a purpose in this life. I'm needed here in this universe. And that is one of my biggest goals, is to help people see their own gifts, be
Mm,
able to, I want to guide them. I want to be their teacher. I want to guide them, but I want to guide them to be able to do this work on their own too.
mm,
And that's where I've seen the biggest work is with the clients that I've worked with is I've seen so many of them become their own healers, teachers, yoga teachers,
yeah.
completely shift their entire careers because they're like, okay, now I'm gonna have this beautiful like wellness business. And
Mm,
of course that takes time, but I've seen this happen, and that is my biggest, biggest like proud moment,
yeah.
seeing people like that.
Yeah, yeah, no, me too. And it is wonderful when you tool somebody up. Like, I feel
Yeah.
I give them the map, I give them a
Yep.
rucksack full of tools, I open the door and I go, off you go. And
Yep.
to be able to navigate their own emotional lives and their own physical lives and to understand and be able to see other people for their what's going on for them and therefore, expanding that compassion and that empathy as well. And that
Mhm.
is what the world needs. It needs more people who are aware of this stuff and not just like the tunnel vision. I've just got to get stuff and do work thing, like it's a such a beautiful thing to witness. And I'm, yeah, witnessing people coming through an anxiety out the other side, feeling their authentic joy, shedding the load and their true self coming out. Yeah, it's an extraordinarily beautiful and privileged thing to
Yes.
witness. Yeah,
Yes.
it is.
Absolutely. Couldn't
Mm,
agree more.
yeah. So, Debbie, tell people how they can get in touch with you and where they can find you.
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram. I'm always posting on there. I'm like I said, I'm doing a series right now on Instagram Live and I have it recorded on the chakras. So my handle is __ mystic wellness. My website is mystic-wellness.com. And if you want to email me, just chat with me, ask me more questions about the Radiant Method, which is inside my Evo Collective program, the 8-week program to more abundance, then feel free to email me, Debbie at mystic-wellness.com, and that's where you can find me.
Beautiful. Mystic wellness. I love that. That's a
Yes.
good moniker. I love that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Debbie, for spending this time with me. It's been a real joy to talk
It's
to
been a
you.
pleasure.
Real
Yes.
kindred spirit moment.
Yes,
I
totally. I love it.
just felt like we've just been talking shop for just like to
Exactly. It's been great.
hopefully there's been some learning in there as well. But thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.